In the dark, smoky streets of post-war Birmingham, a group of men in flat caps walked with quiet confidence. They had razor blades sewn into their hats, whiskey in hand, and ambition burning behind their cold stares. They were more than just a gang. They were a symbol, a reflection of a world rebuilding itself from the ashes of war. This is the story of the Peaky Blinders. How a small street gang born in poverty and violence became the blueprint for the rise of modern corporate empires. To understand the Peaky Blinders, we must first understand the world that created them. The late 19th and early 20th centuries in Britain were an era of massive inequality. Industrial cities like Birmingham overflowed with factory smoke, sweat, and desperation. The war had taken fathers, brothers, and sons. What remained were broken men and restless youth trying to survive in a world that had forgotten them. Crime wasn't just a choice, it was a way of life. The system had no place for the poor, so they built their own. Amidst the chaos, one name would rise above the rest: the Peaky Blinders. They started small with gambling, protection, and robbery. But what set them apart wasn't just violence, it was vision. They weren't content to be just another gang. They wanted control over money, territory, and respect. Whether historical or mythologized through fiction, Tommy Shelby represented a new breed of criminal: intelligent, strategic, ruthless, and charming. In a class-driven world, he understood that true power wasn't about blood or birthright. It was about information, connections, and the ability to think 3 steps ahead. The real Birmingham gangsters didn't wear tailored suits or speak in poetic metaphors. However, the world they created and the legacy they left behind became symbols of transformation, the evolution of crime into capitalism. What began as street-level extortion later inspired organized crime syndicates around the world to operate like corporations. The Peaky Blinders were among the first to realize that fear and loyalty could be monetized, and that violence could be a business model. That's what makes their story more than just British history. They represented not just criminal ambition, but the birth of an idea. Power could be built from the ground up. That structure could transform chaos into an empire. A man with nothing could, through sheer will and cunning, stand eye to eye with the lords and kings of the industrial world. If we look closely, we can see their legacy everywhere, in the way modern corporations operate, in how political power is consolidated, and in how marketing and branding are used to control perception. Tommy Shelby didn't just build a gang, he built a brand. The flat caps, the sharp suits, the whiskey, and the family loyalty were all image, identity, and influence. This is not so different from how today's CEOs build billion-dollar empires out of symbols and narratives. After all, the modern corporation is just a legalized version of the same system: hierarchy, loyalty, profit, and power. In Peaky Blinders, we see Tommy negotiate with politicians, business owners, and crime lords. He blurs the line between criminal and capitalist. And that's not fiction, it's history repeating itself. The most powerful families of the 20th century, from the Rockefellers to the Rothschilds, didn't rise to power without being a bit ruthless. They just wore nicer suits and worked in cleaner offices. In a sense, the Peaky Blinders were the mirror of that system, the street-level reflection of industrial capitalism itself. Consider this: in a world where banks could manipulate nations, factories owned entire neighborhoods, and workers had no voice, is it surprising that men like the Shelbys emerged? They simply played the same game without the pretense of legality. The industrialists used contracts, while the Blinders used razors. But both sought the same thing: control. As Britain modernized, so did crime. The criminal underworld learned to wear suits, speak like businessmen, and invest their money. By the mid-20th century, many gangs had evolved into fully functioning corporations. Today's drug cartels, smuggling networks, and cybercrime organizations all follow the same blueprint that began in the back alleys of Birmingham. The hierarchy, codes, branding, and loyalty all started there. The Peaky Blinders story isn't just about gangsters. It's about transformation. It's about how human ambition finds a way to reinvent itself when cornered by poverty and injustice. It's about how survival can become a strategy and how a strategy can become an empire. They demonstrated that power doesn't ask for permission. It takes shape wherever opportunity and audacity meet. Perhaps the most fascinating part of their story, though, isn't how they built their empire. It's how they legitimized it. Like many real historical figures, the fictional Tommy Shelby's journey from gang leader to member of parliament mirrors the evolution of crime into politics and business in the real world. When power consolidates, the methods may change, but the mindset remains the same. Control the flow of money, control the narrative, and control the future. Perhaps that's why the Peaky Blinders still captivate us today. Deep down, they represent something universal. The desire to rise up, overcome, and bend the system designed to crush us. Their violence shocks us, but their ambition inspires us. They remind us that every great empire, legal or illegal, started with someone daring to believe they could be more. When we watch Tommy Shelby stare into the fire with a cold, calculating look, we're not just seeing a gangster. We see the modern entrepreneur, the CEO, the visionary, someone who builds something from nothing, no matter the cost. The tools have changed, but the game hasn't. The world is still ruled by those who can turn chaos into order and fear into influence. So perhaps the real question isn't how the Peaky Blinders became powerful. Rather, it's how they taught us that power, in every form, obeys the same rules. Whether it's a gang on the streets of Birmingham or a corporation on Wall Street, the principles are the same: hierarchy, loyalty, information, and control. The only difference is which side of the law you're on. Ultimately, the Peaky Blinders story is a mirror held up to society. It shows us that corruption isn't born in the alleyways, it's born in the boardrooms. Ambition can build an empire and cause a downfall. It shows us that every institution we admire today, from governments to global corporations, carries within it the same DNA that once ruled the backstreets of Birmingham. When you strip away the polish, the suits, and the systems, we're all still playing the same game. As Tommy Shelby said, you can change what you do, but you can't change what you want. What we all ultimately want is power, the kind that can't be taken away.